Hello and welcome to Isolated 8 podcast, episode number 20. So before we start talking about this week's guest, I put something very small together, but it means a whole load to me. On the outro of the song now, or outro of the podcast now, you'll hear two of my three boys. The youngest fella is too small to be talking. He doesn't say anything apart from Daddy's a fucking Egypt. But he, but the other two, I've put a little bit of cool stuff on the end, added a bit of music to it. So again, nothing to you guys, but means the world to me. On to this week's guest, we have Shabba, Leon Madigan, aka Shabba. So Shabba is a young, upcoming hip hop grime MC rapper, real cool guy, full of energy, full of life, full of fun. So yeah, had a really cool chat with him. We had lots of laughs. It was the first time that we'd ever spoken, so connected instantly and had a real good conversation. So really enjoyed it. We get a bit deep, and there's a couple of touching kind of parts to the podcast as well. So a real variation. Cool musician, man. I'm a hip hop head, and grime isn't something that I've been massively into, but listening to a couple of his tracks, Shoot My Shot and 25 especially, which isn't a grime song, it's definitely more of a story. And listening to some of his other stuff, really enjoyed it. So we linked up, had a really cool chat, and I hope you enjoy the chat as much as I do. So if you want to find him, you can find him on Spotify as Leon Shabba Madigan, or if you want to hook up on Instagram, it's Shabba_official_. So really enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoy it too, and I hope you enjoy the outro. Peace.
It makes me higher than a motherfucker. Just rolling around, keeping in with the crowd, keeping it around for people to say.
So welcome to the Isolated 8 podcast. This week's guest is Leon Madigan, aka Shabba. Shabba is a UK MC, based now in Ireland. MC, hip hop artist, grime artist, a bit of everything, a bit of an all rounder. How are you getting on, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm very well, man.
Oh,
very,
cool.
very well.
Okay.
Yeah. All good, mate. We can hear. All good. We're good. So, Shabba, before we start talking about your music and before we start talking about where you're based now and how you got there, I want to kind of go and discuss your origins in music and the reason that you started rhyming, the reason that you started putting words together, maybe some of your influences as a kid. What kind of stuff got you into hip hop, man?
Music, basically, like growing up in London, I kind of grew up when like grime really first kind of like kicked off, like originated. Like that was like the London thing. Like that was it was more than music. It was kind of like, how can I say? It was more like a lifestyle. Like the way you talked, the way you dressed.
Yeah.
Like it was a lifestyle. So like I grew up around them times, like being outside kicking football, being in school. People would always kind of like freestyle, like cuss each other, take the piss at each other. Freestyle on the stairs in classes. At the back of the class, we'd be banging the table, making beats, taking the piss out of each other. But like, I don't know, I never really wanted to do music. When I was younger, I wanted to be a vet. Like, I know it's pure random. Like,
I wanted to be. You're an animal man. You are.
Yeah, I wanted to be a vet. But I wanted to be a vet and then a dentist. I don't know, some random shit. But I don't know. It's pure random. But music, I say my dad played a big part in like music. I never realized it at the time, but like there was always music playing in the house, and then like even when we were going driving around and stuff like that, like he'd always be playing like drum and bass, the likes of 50 Cent and all of that. Like he had a good taste in music, so that's why I think I get my kind of taste from. Like I think that kind of reflects on my music, the way that I don't just do one genre. I kind of like experiment into loads of different ones because I'm just used to being brought up around good music, I'd say.
Okay. And what kind of, when you're talking, so how old are you now, bud?
I am 26, but I look 18.
So I'm just trying to think of kind of, when you're saying that, because I'm older than you, man. I'm nearly 40 years of age, and the hip hop that I was growing up on was kind of what would be classed as old school stuff now, right? So what kind of things were, who were the artists that were coming on the scene back then when you were, I'm a big Kano fan, was kind of, but he's more South London. So who would be in North London? I'd only be knowing really myself the kind of Gets and and Retro to it, kind of Tottenham way. So, but again, kind of, I'm not versed on the grime scene. What kind of artists would you have been listening to, or would have been big when they got you into it?
When I first started out, it was Gigs. Gigs really.
Okay.
Gigs was the first person that, like, back in the day we used to have like phones and used to send people stuff off like infrared. Remember infrared?
Yeah.
You have to pair the phone next to each other.
Yeah,
I remember one day after school, I was sitting outside, like we were waiting to play football or something, and one of my friends came over and he was like, "Yo, my brother's just after sending me this song. Have you heard this? It's called Talking the Hardest." And we were like,
yeah,
"Who the
man."
fuck's that?" Because like when back in those days, when you lived in an area, like I was in Northwest, so like all the people that are doing music in your area. So like in your area, and you see these people, you're like, "Oh shit, there's my man over there." Like, "Oh shit, there's my man. There's Nines. There's that." Like you're like, "Oh shit!" Like you get kind of starstruck. But Giggs was the first person that had gotten out of his area, and people in other areas were playing him, and no one didn't not like him. Like they were all like, "Oh shit, that shit is hard." So like
Yeah,
I would
walking
say,
out is. I was living in Lanzarote when that came out, man, and I remember a young lad, London Jimmy, we used to call him, and he played me the song. Yeah, walking out. Yeah, everybody in the club be snorting my Charlie. I was like,
Charlie,
yeah, man, look at this fella, he's hardcore, bro. Yeah.
That's like I don't know, that should just get changed to the national anthem of England or something. I don't think anyone in England dislikes that song. I'm telling you.
Oh man, and yeah, and so Northwest would have been, from again my knowledge going back, like Doc Brown. He's from that way, right? I think he's. Do you know Doc Brown? He was a hip hop artist. Is now fucking a comedian, and he's rapping about tea and doing fucking shit like that. But he's.
Is that like the mixed race guy? Is he kind of?
Yeah.
He used to be on like BBC Three and stuff like that.
That's it, man. Yeah. If you don't know his rap stuff, go and check out his Fire in the Booth. He works a lot with Logic and with. Who's the other guy, man? The Asian guy who's always spitting knowledge. Oh man, his name escapes me, and it's going to drive me mad.
Low Key or something, is it?
Low Key, that's the one, man.
Yeah.
So Low Key, and so that comedian Doc Brown, right? He used to do some real underground hip hop stuff, man. He was one of the battle rappers and stuff like that. But I think a lot of a lot of rappers, a lot of them could be comedians. There's certainly that element to it. Like I listened to a few of your Saturday freestyle Saturdays, man, and there's certainly an element of comedy in there. And your song "Shoot My Shot" as well has certainly got elements of comedy in there. Is it something that you've thought about, or even kind of do you realize? I mean, who else could I reckon? Like R.A. the Rugged Man, Eminem. They come. What's the Lunacy, right? These guys, as well as having punchlines, they're punchlines that rhyme, but they're just so clever with it and so witty with it. Is it something that you work on, that side of things?
Yeah, I tried. Not really. I just put it in there because I like to. Well, I like to think that I'm funny. Like I don't know. I don't like to take myself serious, and then I find when I listen to music, sometimes if I'm in a bad mood. Like I know everyone's different, but I don't want to listen to something that is gonna make me cry. Like I want to escape reality when I put my headphones in. So I kind of try to get a message across, but I try to throw in something witty and funny so people could be like, they laugh. They'll be like, "Oh, I can relate to that."
And do you think that comes from the school days when you were just cussing each other?
Yeah,
I suppose a lot of that's got to come from that, right?
And even at home, my mom and dad roast me, so I'm used to it. My mom always roasts me. My mom's always taking the piss out of me.
That's what you want, though, right? Keeps you grounded, right?
Yeah.
And so let's talk about some of your music. So I can see that King of the South was the big album that came out there recently enough, and you were telling me before there was a bit of a hiatus or a bit of a break, putting that together. Tell me again why that happened, man. You were spitting grime and go on. I'll let you tell the story, dude.
So basically, when I first started making music, I put on my SoundCloud. I put out like 3 or 4 mixtapes, and they were all mainly all the songs were grime. And like at the time when I put them out, like people in my town were like, "Oh, that's good!" Like everyone was liking it. But like when it came to like approaching people on radio stations and stuff like that, they basically just said to me, "Look, there's no market for that in this country, and no one's gonna be able to relate to it." But I was like, people that I know that haven't grown up where I've grown up are relating to my music, and I'm not talking about like stupid shit like, "Oh, I got a gun, I shoot your cat, and I like my pussy fat," and just some stuff like that, like. I'm not talking.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
like, yeah. When I make a song, I feel that like I make a song. Like it's not like loads of random shit put into one. So
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
basically just said to me to just put it in a nice way. They were just like to me, "Fuck off! Like it's not gonna work." Blah blah blah. So I took a break and I was thinking to myself, like, right, I know that this is not shit because I listen to other people in this country. And no offense to anyone else making music, but I think that like I don't know. I just think that what they play on the radio is not representative of what talent is in this country. Like they just play it
Yeah,
based off,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, they just play it based off of who knows who and who knows that. There's no one that really like has an ear to the streets and goes around from town to town. Like they think that Dublin is the only place that has music. It's not. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the way I look at it is like if I'm in Clonmel, right? If I get a show in Galway, I don't know, Galway, Cork, flipping Kilkenny, Limerick, the likes of that, and get fans in all those places, then I more or less have more fans than someone has in Dublin. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah. There's a
But
good
like,
scene for hip hop in Cork, man. So,
yeah, I had a show
have
in
you played
Cork.
in Cork? Yeah,
Yeah,
where
yeah, I
did
had a
you
show
play?
in
What
Cork.
venue?
I played in oh shit, it's gone out of my head. Ah man, it's that big one. It's got like 3 stories. Is it the right? No, not the right venue. That's in Dublin. Cypress Avenue.
Uh,
That's it, or something like that. I
Cypress
think. Yeah,
Avenue. Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got,
I
I
used to
got
work in that
performance of the
place when
night
I
as
first
well.
moved to Ireland, man. Say that
Yeah,
again.
I got performance of the night as well. Just thought I'd throw that in there. You
Boom.
know.
Happy
Yeah.
days, mate. Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, happy
Good
days.
way to start the
Boom.
year.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Cypress Avenue is a nice venue. I went to see Maverick Sabre there. I've seen Jizza up on that stage,
Yeah.
man, from Wu Tang. He was dog shit that night, mate. Let me tell you. Oh, mate, I was so disappointed. He just put no effort in whatsoever. He's just a 50-year-old dude, just saying the same lyrics he's said for the last 20 years, just with no passion. I was
Did
very
he get a good?
disappointed, but.
Did he have a good turnout?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was a mad, mad audience as well because you had youngsters that obviously kind of, everyone knows Wu Tang, right? So even if you're a
Yeah.
young hip hop head who's in his early 20s, you're going to go and see someone from the Wu Tang. And then you had people my age in their late 30s, early 40s that were there that grew up on Wu Tang, So,
Wu-Tang, yeah.
yeah, no, he had a good crowd there, but the performance I was disappointed with. But yeah, Cork's got a decent hip hop scene. There's a collective here called the Cutting Heads, right? And
Yeah.
they started off. There was 4 or 5 DJs or guys that were trying to put on nights. One might be a DJ, another might be a DJ. There was a promoter here and a promoter there, and they were all kind of doing their own thing and only doing all right at it,
Yeah.
And then they all came together and set up this collective. Now, I was in a really lucky position at the time when they were setting that up. I was opening a bar in a complex here, and it was called Urban Jungle, and it was very hip hop based,
Yeah.
And I managed to get them to use that venue as well. It was a mutually beneficial thing. They used the venue every Thursday night to come and meet and play some tunes and bring a crowd along. But it was also them setting up to kind of go on to other things as well. But they've brought the likes of Jest and Jam Baxter and Dirty Dyke over from the UK. They've had some big artists come over,
Yeah.
But there's some decent rappers that are on before all these guys. There's a guy, Speculative Fiction, that I see that is very good. And there's a young lad here called Trigger or Trigger, I think his name is. And I saw the other day that he's doing a song with the Outlaws, who were kind of Tupac's cronies back in the fucking day. And the videos of them in Amsterdam smoking weed together, doing a song together. I was like,
Nice.
fucking hell, man, a young lad from Cork's managed to do that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely kind of a scene for it here in Ireland, Where's the best venue that you've played in Ireland so far, and what's been your standout nights?
Best bet. I haven't had that much shows. Like, to be honest, I've only had 4 shows, and 2 of them were in the one place. So I've had 2 in a pub where I live, like Gleason's. I've had
Yeah.
they were shocking. I ain't gonna lie. That was back when I first started. My confidence was at like an all-time low. Like I was pure
Shit, man.
shy and shit on the mic. But everyone goes through that. Like you gotta.
Of course, you have to. What was the turnout
like
like for that, though, Shabba? How many folk were there?
the first time I done it, I got a good turnout because I say the first time I done it, it was more people being like, when people haven't seen something been done before, so they want to go and see what it's like. And a couple of my friends were there. It was good the first time. The second time, the second time, I ain't gonna lie, the turnout was awful. Like there was barely any people in there, a handful, just me, my friends, and a couple of other people. But like it was the night before Electric Picnic, but To be honest, I don't know. But where I am now to where I was then is completely different. Like, I
Yeah,
reckon
man.
if I had it again now, like, I don't mean to sound big-headed or confident or cocky. Like, I'm not. Well, I'm confident, but I'm not cocky. But like,
Yeah.
I think I'd have a way better turnout. I'd have a way better turnout now because like what I've learned, whenever I have a show now, I say it to my lads, my friends that I bring with me. I'm like, I don't care if there's 8 people in here or 80. Like, it's the same show. Like, this is our night. Like, we're coming to take over. That's the way I approach
Yeah,
every
man.
show now. Before, I never
And
used to
as
think
well,
like
then
that.
it's how you market that as well, right? So I'm a big
Exactly.
fan of this
Yeah.
rapper called Luna C, right? And he did a tour last year just around the UK. I'd say probably 5 or 6 gigs around the
Yeah.
UK. And one of the lines that stood out from the little documentary, someone followed the tour. It's about 45 minutes. It's worth checking out. Because it's him and a couple of his pals that I think there's kind of like maybe 4 rappers that come on and then a couple, like, a guy doing the merch and stuff like that and a DJ,
Mhm.
right? And they're going around together. But like he was saying, he was one photo, he goes, yeah, look, it looks like there's fucking loads of people there. And he turns around to the camera and he goes, all it is about fucking with people's perceptions, making them think that you're bigger than you are until you're actually that big,
Exactly.
And he was like, there was literally this photo with about 8 people in the crowd, but the way the photo was taken, you'd swear the place was
It looks like
fucking
there's
packed,
loads.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's the thing with music, yeah. Like, a lot of it is fake it till you make it. Like, you
yeah,
see people on Instagram, like other rappers. I go on their pages and I see they got like 8,000 followers, 9,000 followers, but then yet when I click on their pictures, they're getting 60 likes. Like, how does that add up? Like,
yeah.
it's just all fake. Like, people be like, they'll be on Spotify, right? They'll have 3 songs out, and you'd like only 3 songs out, right? Released. They'll have like 15,000 monthly listeners, and one of their songs would be on like 20,000 plays, and it's like, how are you getting that? Like, people are obviously they're buying it. If they're not, then like fair play. But like, I'm not stupid. I
Like,
know how.
man, Instagram there, but I when I set up the Instagram page, I was there just trying to kind of build a following,
Yeah.
and I've got about 500 or so, 550, something like that now. But I got a ban
Fair
because
play,
I had to
man.
follow about fucking 3,000 people to do that, right? But again,
Yeah.
how much of them actually give a fuck about the podcast and do anything?
Exactly.
Does it stand for actually anything? When you look at your actual amount of monthly listeners and stuff, it's
Exactly.
there's a vast number. It's all about perception, But again, for me now, I've kind of it's given me the time over this last week that I've been banned to build the Instagram page. I've got some really nice kind of posts that I'm ready to put out when I'm alive again on Saturday, because I've been finding that I'm contacting most folk for the podcast through Instagram, so I want the page to look half decent at least, but I think it's like you say, a lot of it is perception, but then when you look into it, it's a fair bit of bullshit. And Instagram said to me, they banned me, but they were like, it looks like you could have gone to a third party company here to buy.
Why did they ban you?
Because liking too many people. I must have followed too many people too quickly, just going, oh, he might like it, he might like it, he might like it, and just trying to put it out there. But they kind of suggested that I got a third party company to do it. So there is obviously kind of ways to do that, right? But it's not authentic. It's not going to fucking buy you shit. So And then one question that I've got for you. So obviously I've only started fucking with Spotify recently. I've always listened to Spotify and used it to listen to music, right? But in terms of putting stuff and posting it up to it, I've only started doing that with this podcast, and I see that you're verified. How long? Like, what's the process for that, and how does that work? Or have you got an idea? Like, how do you manage that? Not that I'm looking to do it until it's built its own way, But what is the process for that?
When you make music, like, you have to find a distributor to distribute it. So I use DistroKid. I use TuneCore. I use DistroKid now. And when I set up TuneCore, like, one of the perks I think of using TuneCore was that I get verified as an artist. So like, I don't know how you'd go about it for doing a podcast. I'm not sure.
One. Yeah.
Do you need a distributor as well? Yeah.
Yeah, so I use Anchor FM as my kind of host. It hosts the podcast and then distributes it through to like Apple and Spotify and Google and all them heads, So it's a similar sort of thing. Now, I was toying with Acast. I listened to Acast. I use Acast, and I started moving stuff over. I think and I stopped it. Then I went back to Anchor just because I was comfortable, and I was kind of thinking, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I think there are other benefits and perks with Acast. Like, when I listen to an Acast hosted podcast, even if it's on Spotify Spotify or Apple. So, for example, Hip Hop Saved My Life with Ramesh Ranganathan, the comedian. I listen to that weekly, you know. And at the start of that, they do kind of an Acast Presents kind of advert of a different podcast every week, you know. And it's local to where you live. So I had the advert come on for this couple there that were doing a podcast, a couple of like an Irish lad and an Irish girl, and it was cringeworthy advert. If I'm honest with you, like I never would listen to it. Right? I was looking at, Jesus, who'd want to listen to that? Well, obviously, there's a market for it, right? But that was the advert. So I was like, if I move over to Acast, even if I get that advert put out once in a while, it might be worth the while of moving over, you know. But again, it's all trial and error for me, man. And then talking about Instagram again, your Freestyle Saturdays, how did that come about, and what was the reason, and why did you pick Saturday? Is it a favorite day, or what's the story?
No, basically, like one of my friends, Hyphen, shout out Hyphen, he's like an artist from up in the north, Jesus Christ, north somewhere, man. He's up the north somewhere. I'm not sure if it's Derry or something like that, or I don't even know the name of places, but he's up there. He does Freestyle Friday, so I didn't want to kind of like, that's something he does, so I didn't want to take his thing away from him, like. So I just do Freestyle Saturdays, and basically, like, what they are is just, some of them are just ideas I get on a Saturday or the night before, or they're half-finished songs that I just put up. The only reason I've done it is because with this quarantine stuff, like, all my music videos now, they're all gone. So I have nothing to keep people engaged in what I'm doing. To be honest, like, you can ask anyone that knows me, I hate using the internet. Like, I hate posting stuff. I don't like living my life on the internet. I live my life in real life. Okay. Like, I don't feel the need to tell everyone what I'm doing. Like, you know, I'm just really reserved like that. I like to keep myself to myself. And then people be like, well, why'd you do music then? And I'm just like, it's good point.
It's your outlet though, right?
It's my outlet.
That's your outlet though, man. Do you know what I mean? If you don't want to put it all over Instagram, you just put all that info and all that heart and all that feeling. Not that there's a lot of heart and feeling sometimes on Instagram, but you know what I'm saying? You put it into your music instead, man. And that's
like
cool.
My Instagram,
and that's
my
how
Instagram page. Yeah, like in real life, I'm Leon. On Instagram, I'm Shabba. Yeah. So like you see what Shabba does. So like on my Instagram from now on, it's gonna be like, when I go studio, like you'll see pictures auto-related with music. Like you won't see any pictures of like my private life, my social life, and that. That's for me, you know.
Keep that separate.
Yeah, I keep that separate, like, you know.
Yeah. And again, but they're funny, and they're funny because I like the way you just take the piss out of yourself as well, man. Like, you know, I've probably mentioned that before. You got no fear of doing that. It's a good trait, man. And I suppose, like, when, you know, I say it to my son, right? So I've got 3 kids, right? And my oldest one's got Asperger's, right? So he's on the autistic spectrum, right? And he is very black and white. There's no grey areas with him, right? So he'll just say what he thinks, and say, you know, you'll be talking about something, and if you're wrong, he will definitely correct you, and he'll do it so bluntly that you're like, oh man, that fucking hurts, right? but really, like, in his head, he's like, but you're wrong, and obviously you want to be right next time, so I'm telling you, right? But it's certain things like and you know, when he's taking the piss, he's happy to take the piss out of someone, and it's generally the middle guy, right? His younger brother, but the middle guy that gets it. And sometimes he can say some hurtful fucking shit, man. And I'm like, no worry. He goes, yeah, but it was funny, Dad. And I'm like, well, then point that direct at yourself, right? I said, if you take the piss out of yourself rather than someone else, right, you'll get a lot more laughs for it. Do you know what I mean? So man, it's I think the battle rapping and like you were saying at school when you're playing music on the desk and cussing each other, you come up with a way of finding funny things about people. But I think sometimes if you just point that in your own direction, you're going to get a lot more giggles for it. You know?
Like in school, I used to get roasted. Like I used to be fat. They used to call me like Homer Simpson. Sorry. That's what they used to call me. And I used to have like really bad dandruff, like when I was younger. And I remember like when I was in year 7, the year 11s used to come over in the mornings. They used to be like, hey, bruv, come here. And they'll start rubbing my head. And I'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? They'll be like, man's getting some sugar in it. Because I had dandruff. They used to shake my head and be like, they're getting some sugar. You know what I'm saying? And then my mum wondered why in school, why in school I was getting all flipping in trouble all the time. You got to just, I don't know, from young age, you just got to learn to just stand up for yourself. Like.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But that's why I don't take myself seriously. So I'm just used to getting roasted, like.
And then in the in one of there was a couple of things that popped out. I can't remember which Freestyle Saturday it was, but there was a couple of lines in it, and it was in the same track. And you were talking about risky roads, right? So are you talking about the guy who does the videos, Ronnie, right? Yeah. Rooney.
Yeah, Rooney. Ronnie. Rooney.
And is that something that you grew up on listening to and looking at the videos that he was putting out?
Yeah, because like as I was saying, you know, when you were younger, like there wasn't really the internet wasn't as big as it was now. So like DVDs was the way you'd get to hear about like rappers and stuff from other areas. You know, Risky Roads was the grime DVD where you had people from all other areas on it. So like he would go down to East London, film Gets and that, and then they'd go up to North, film Skepta and all of that. And then some DVDs you'd get like editions of people like from different areas meeting up with each other and stuff like that.
Yeah. And anyone who doesn't know Risky Roads may know Grime Gran. His nan.
his nan.
Fuck me, man. She's unbelievable, isn't she? So
Yeah,
for anyone listening that doesn't know, like, so this, you know, Shabba's just explained who Risky Roads was, right? He went around doing these videos and putting them together and punting out CDs of all these artists. But his nan, he used to do a lot of the cutting and editing and stuff in his bedroom. So his nan got to know all of these rappers when they were younger.
All the guys,
and now kind of all the big stars. So like you've got Getz and Retri 2 and Kano and all these people that are now big stars and known as founders of grime, go and visit his nan and have chats about the olden days, man. And she cuts into him. She don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
mate. She's brilliant.
Yeah, she's proper.
Check that shit out.
She's got no chill. She just says it straight. It's funny.
Yeah. You're taking fucking liberties.
Yeah.
Oh, good, man. I think we touched on it earlier when the recording went all tits up on us, but you're obviously not from Ireland, but you're based in Tipperary, right? So you moved over there when you were how old?
I was 17, 2011. I moved over here.
Yeah. So you've been here a while now. How are you finding it living in Ireland? What's your thoughts on it?
When I first came over, I ain't gonna lie, I absolutely hated it. I found it so hard to settle in. I felt different, like the way I dress, the way I talk. Even to this day, the way I talk is not the way I actually talk, if you get what I'm saying. Like if I talk to my friends from England on the phone, like that's the way I talk. Like I don't know, it's just different the way I talk.
You've had to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, I felt like I've had to mature way quicker than what I would have had to if I was still in England. But it's probably a good thing, like, you know. But like I've met some good people over here. Like everyone's really friendly over here. Made some good friends. But when I first moved over, oh man, the first 2 years were really hard. Missed all my friends. Found it so hard to settle in. Felt like I had nothing.
You in school as well then, or?
Nah, I wasn't. I moved over here. I was done. I would have been in my first year in college in England. Then I moved. I was doing arts. I was doing art and design or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I moved.
And again, that's
here.
even tougher to a degree because I mean, I did a similar sort of thing and moved over, but at least I got to go. I didn't like the school and I didn't stay there very long, right? But at least I got a kind of few mates from it and stuff like that, you know, and introduced to soccer. And I think something a good friend of mine always said: if you can play soccer and go and kick ball, then you'll always find a group of mates fairly quickly when you move somewhere, you know. And I've been very lucky with that. I've moved around a lot and had that. And then kind of music wise, so. Go on now, go.
Yeah, no. When I moved over here, like my cousin, because you know the way I always used to come over here like twice a year. Like my cousin Joey, like I had him obviously, so like I got to know like all his friends. But there's a difference between like I don't mean this as disrespect to any of them because they're still my friends to this day, good friends as well. But it's like you know, there's a difference between making friends with other people's friends and making your own friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. I do. You know that they've kind of been asked to fall in here and help you out a bit, man. Do you know what I mean? Because it's your mate's mate. And then you probably go off and find your own kind of gang as well then eventually.
Yeah.
But, you know, you'll always have the respect for what they did for you, right?
Yeah, no, I do. No, we're all still friends to this day. But, like, it's just, like, I found it just hard because I like music, clothes, and dumb shit like that. Not saying that they like that. They don't like that stuff. But, like, when I first came over here, could you imagine the way I dressed? Like, pants hanging down around my ankles, like big baggy clothes, hats, and everyone over here is wearing like tight fitted stuff. And I'm like, yo, well, go on, what are you saying? And they're like, whoa, what? What do you mean, what am I saying? I'm like, what are you saying? They're like, whoa. It's just, it's hard. It's really hard.
It was tough. Yeah. And what's Clonmel like? Is it like is it a big town, or is there a decent scene there for you to kind of fall into, or is it all very different? Did you have to kind of adapt?
I think Clonmel is the biggest inland town. I'm probably wrong. Like, I know nothing. I don't even know the name of the road around the corner from me. Like, that's how bad I am. But like, I think Clonmel is a nice place. Like, people here are cool. They look out for each other. Music wise, there's a lot of band stuff, like, there's not really a lot of people doing the music that I'm doing, so I find that it gets like
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
down upon. Like the last time
yeah,
I've had
yeah, yeah.
two shows, the last time I had two gigs, I didn't get paid for it because apparently it was an experiment because no one likes that music. I felt like saying no one likes that music because you don't give it a chance. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
get,
yeah,
but next time I have a show down here, but he's paying me. I don't give a fuck. I'm not
yeah,
doing it
yeah,
for free.
yeah.
It costs me
And what
money
about then
to make
the
music.
yeah, yeah. And are you thinking that like you said that the last time your albums or your mixtapes came out and were very grime heavy and you had to go and adapt,
Yeah,
right? And came back with
yeah.
would you ever thought for a live show, if people like a band and there's plenty of bands around, like have you ever thought about doing a bit of fucking spitting over a band doing the beats for you? The reason that
Yeah,
I
that,
asked
yeah,
that, I know it's something that
yeah,
it certainly can be done, and you're getting a crossover. Then, do you know what I mean? You're getting a
yeah,
mix of all their kind of again something to think about, man. If that's what I'd be looking at, if
yeah.
people just want bands and you want to introduce spitting, so put a fucking drummer and a couple of
That's
guitarists,
yeah,
one guitarist and a bassist, and then you just do your fucking spitting the lyrics and let them sing the background.
yeah.
Crossover.
That's a good. I had that idea thought of like one of my good friends, Johnny Corbett, is a drummer. We've talked about this plenty of times, getting a live band and me like doing covers of songs or even doing some of my own songs over it. But like this Corona has just
Yeah,
slowed
shook
down.
everything, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just slowed down the everything. Like I was gonna try and set up my own show. I was gonna rent out a place and I was gonna get like different acts from all over the country, like my friends up in Dublin, a couple of
yeah,
people from
yeah, yeah.
Cork. I was gonna get local people from Clonmel and make a night of music. So it's not just my music, but it's like you've got loads of different types of music. So like people can bring their parents, their grandparents, whatever. You have every genre
Yeah,
of
yeah,
music.
and everyone will be happy, like, yeah.
Is that yeah, that's what I
And
was planning to do in the summer, but Corona's just killed that now. So
the another in your freestyle Saturday, you bring up Top Boy and again
yeah,
Kano and Asher D and all them. Like, they're
yeah.
obviously rappers that I'm aware of and know of. Kano, I'm a huge fan
Damn,
of. Kano's only a couple.
you've been doing your research, but you've been listening to my Freestyle
I'd
Saturdays
listen
hard.
to your music, but
Damn,
then like
yeah.
when I listen to a coffee, that's it, man. I listen to the music and then I pick bits out that resonate with me. And Top Boy's something I'm a
Yeah,
big Top Boy. The show's a great show, but
yeah.
Kano and
What do you think of the new
I'm a
season?
huge Kano fan, man. Yeah, it was good. It was good, man. Very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the Netflix kind of added to it. They've brought that
yeah.
international vibe to it as well, which is good. But
A lot more attention
yeah,
to it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Kano's music is something I've kind of grown up on. I was living in kind of East London or on the border between East London and Essex as a kind of 16-year-old, right? 15, 14,
Yeah.
15, 16-year-old. And Kano would have been a couple of years younger than me, but on Deja radio station and then his albums as he's released them, I've kind of grown up, and there's a lot of references of places like Hermit Road Barbershop. That's a place that I've been to, and there's all these kind of references. So I've always been a huge Kano fan.
Yeah,
But again, something that you mentioned there, like in with the drummer, Top Boy's first two seasons, there's a thing called Prose and Percussion, right? It's on YouTube. Top Boy Prose and Percussion, and you have Kano, Asher D, Scorcher, and Sway all rapping
yeah.
literally just over this dude playing the drums.
Drumming,
Check it
yeah.
out, man, because it's
No, I've
it's
seen that.
something.
I've seen that
Yeah,
already. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a little
It's
cipher.
dope. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's dope, man. And again, like you were saying there, if you're getting your drummer mate to maybe and literally to build a little band, it's kind of three people, and you
Yeah.
could be the way forward, man. There you go. I mean, I'm loving what you're doing. Can you tell me a bit more about 25, right? And that song. That's the song that's resonated with me the most because I'm a hip hop head. It's
Yeah.
not grime. I don't see that as grime. That's
Yeah.
that's
It's
just
hip-hop.
storytelling, right? So yeah. Tell me about that one.
Yeah, basically hip hop. Well, hip hop. I mean, 25 is basically the intro to my album King of the South. And what I try to do with my intros is I try to make them draw you in. So like with that, basically, I was just at that time I was just going through some shit. I just felt like shit. Like obviously, like my dad passed away and stuff like that. So like I don't really talk about stuff like that. But in that song, I don't know. There's just something with that beat. It just clicked with me. That's why I was like paranoid thoughts in my mind. I got a lot on my chest, but I just keep it all inside. Stuff like that. It's just I don't know. Do you know sometimes when you make music, like when you hear a beat, like a song, there's just something clicks, and then it doesn't even feel like you're writing. It just flows off the top of your head. 25 is one of those songs. Like I could probably never ever write a song like 25 again. Probably won't ever write a song like that again. it's just one of them ones. Like that song probably has the most meaning to me out of all the songs that I've wrote. That's the only song that like off my album. When I played it to my mom looked at me and she's like, "I'm so proud of you, like so proud of what you're doing and who you've become and stuff like that." And little shit like that means a lot to me.
That's,
Like
man,
it makes,
that means everything, surely, man.
I mean,
That's top.
yeah, like that's worth more than 10,000 streams or an award or radio play. Like, you know, like that's my everything telling me that what I'm doing, she's proud of. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 26. I still, to this day, I still don't even know what I want to do. Like, I work in retail, I work in lifestyle. Shout out everyone that I work with. But like,
Yeah, man.
up until
Dude,
then,
I'm fucking 38, mate. I still don't know what I want to
yeah,
fucking be when I grow up. So don't worry about it, mate. I've got 3 kids I need to support. I do that. I work for that, right? But is it what I
yeah,
want to do? Is it fuck, mate? No. But again,
yeah.
that'll come. It'll come. You don't have to
Like,
rush
what,
it.
see when you do your podcast, like, is this what you want to do? Like, do you feel like if you could just like
Yeah,
pack
man.
everything in?
Like,
Yeah,
this started with the lockdown, right? And it's something that I toyed with. I'm a big stoner, and I felt there could be a good weed-based podcast,
yeah.
right? And I was
I
going to
noticed
call
that
it.
from the intro. Do you
Yeah,
mind if I like?
yeah.
Do you
Like,
mind if I
it's
smoke? Do you mind if I smoke a joint now?
you fucking
Am I
fire up
right?
there, bud. You fire
Yeah,
up.
let's go, baby.
Um,
Woo!
So for me, I'm like, I wanted to do a weed podcast for a long time. I had a
Yeah.
couple of ideas. One, Everyone Does It was one name that I had, and Pass to the Left was something that I was toying with a couple of my mates, and we were going to go at it. But I just never had the time. I got 3 kids. I play football. My kids play sports. You know, and I've also got to be a husband and go to work, right? So I just
Mhm.
I just never had the time to do it. And this Corona came along and gave me the time to,
Time to
and
do it.
not even just me, but also other people, right? So like trying to get guests and trying to get people to come on and have a chat, no one had the fucking time. And then all of a sudden we were all sat there and I'd ask someone, they'd be like, yeah, sure, I'm doing nothing else. Yeah, I'll come on. Yeah, I'll come on. And then, so it started just as that really. And I thought, oh, it might last, it might not last. And it was very COVID-19 based, the first few.
Yeah,
But then
I noticed
now
that
I'm in,
when I was listening to it from the
yeah.
start. Like,
And
yeah,
you know, it was because that was the theme at the time, and then I kind of, that's why I've revisited quite a few people, because I was having interesting conversation. I was having conversations with this interesting people about the same topic. So I thought, right, I'm going to go back and chat to people about them and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of developed into what it is now, and it's something that I'm definitely going to continue. You know, there's no reason why I can't record 1 or 2 a week over the next kind of. Yeah,
even
while the
just 1 a week.
COVID-19. Yeah, but I'm in going forward, hopefully 1 a week, 2 a week, because it's only kind of half an hour, 45 minutes, right? It's easy enough. But while this COVID-19's kicking off, I'm trying to talk to as many people as I can. I don't have to release them today. Do you know what I mean? Like I can release and make it less COVID-19 and more about them, and it doesn't really matter when it goes out. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm going to keep at it, man. I think it's something I'm enjoying it. It's building a bit of a following. The views are growing, or the listens are growing massively. Like I must say, like it's growing bigger than I thought it would, quicker. So yeah, happy with how it's going, and see what can come of it, man. Like I don't know how I'd monetize it. It's not something I'm thinking that I can turn into a full-time job, if I'm honest. I mean, I know that there's people that do earn enough money out of it, but again, kind of that's for the future, man. Let's just build a following and then see. You know, I know that a lot of podcasts use that Patreon, so you can kind of put in a donation per month, even if it's just. Yeah, and even if it's just £1 a month that people put in, you know, it'll, because there is cost to there's cost in terms of this recording software and the publishing software and the distribution software. So like it's only a small cost, and at the moment it's money that I'm probably not spending on going to the pub or kicking football. That costs me, you know, a couple of quid a week. So I don't mind it. Exactly. So we'll, you know, we'll see. But yeah, the way it is at the moment, man, I definitely think I'm going to carry on with it.
You should.
What about you? What's your hopes? Thanks, man.
Like,
I appreciate
I like
that.
the way I like the way you have a wide variety of guests. Like, it's not just like the one type. Like, you have loads of different people. Like, you have me. You had a musician. What's the episode before? A returning musician.
Yeah, Rory in the island. Yeah.
You had the woman that was out in China.
Yeah. There's again, I'm trying to kind of mix it up in terms of
yeah,
like I know what I like, right, and I like having conversations. So I've got a couple. So I did one there the other day, but the recording just went tits up, man. Like you think this was bad? Our internet dropped a few times at the start, and we've gone again, right? But the last one that I did is with a young motorsport champion. So he's a Formula 4 motorsport champion of Southeast Asia, right? So he's but he's going to come on again next week and record with me, thankfully, because we had a nice chat, but it just didn't, like, the recording was fucked, and it was purely just down to the bad weather over the last couple of days, and he lives a bit far out that the weather was affecting it, So I'm looking forward to getting him back on. And then I contacted a guy there a few weeks or last week who seems keen to come on. And he's got some mad story. He's a young Scottish lad who is a Rastafarian and has bought a bit of land. Yeah, he's bought a bit of land out in Jamaica, right? Him and his pal, and they're building a yard, right? But I don't know if you've seen. There's a YouTube channel called Ra's Kitchen, right? RAS Kitchen, and on that there's this guy who's a Canadian who goes visiting Jamaica to see this guy called Moko, who is a chef who lives kind of very primitive lifestyle out in his yard. He's a pure Rasta guy, smokes a lot of herb and cooks with herb and does all this stuff. So this guy met him and started filming him. And in one of the episodes there, the Canadian guy went and met the next door neighbor of this guy, Moko, and it was this young Scottish lad, right? He can only stay there for 6 months at the time at the moment. So he goes out for 6 months, builds as much as he can of his yard, and then leaves. Half of it fucking blows down over the winter, and he comes back again and keeps rebuilding, right? So that's Wani is his name, but he's a young Scottish lad who's a reggae artist who is based out in Jamaica for half the time and based in Scotland for half his time. And thankfully he's in Scotland at the moment. I reached out to him last week, and he's well game on coming on for a chat. So he's got some mad story as well, So these are the kind of guests I'm trying to get. Like they're all building in terms of a following and how popular these people are and the stories they have and the interest gained from these people is going to grow, right? But again, I'm still trying to keep it as varied as possible. I don't want it to be a music podcast or just a TV podcast or a book podcast. I'm trying to vary it up,
That's good though, because that's the same with anything in life. Like the only way you get better at doing stuff is stepping out your comfort zone, like,
Yeah, man. And funnily enough, I spoke to a guy yesterday who is a founder of a website and a company. He's got multiple businesses, an entrepreneur. His show's going out on Tuesday. And that's something that he said when he was setting up one of his businesses. And there's a little snippet that I took that I'm going to release onto Instagram. And he was like, don't worry about what this is and what it could be. Think about what you've learned. And that will, if there's if you come up with another idea 6 months down the line that's pure gold, you've got half of the skills needed to get that up and running within a week rather than 2 months that you have now.
Exactly.
And I was like, yeah, man, it makes sense. So, I mean, what next for you, Shabs? Because we're coming to 40 minutes, man. So we've had a good chat here. What's the plans for you, and where can people find you? Where do we follow you?
The plans for me are in 5 years' time, not even 5 years, sooner than that, I want to be an established name, like music and Ireland. Like I want to be a pioneer of grime. Like I want to be the first person. Well, right now I think I am the first person that's done grime in this country to the level that I'm doing it, like getting on radio, getting shows, getting this, getting that, working with other artists. But I want people to be like, listen to my music and be like, oh, I want to do that. Like I want to do grime. Like everyone just wants to do the same thing, do drill and do stuff like this. So like I want to inspire people to do what I'm doing, like type of music I'm doing. I want to be a household name. I want to be the best in this country at what I do. Like anyone that does music and tells you they don't want to be the best, then why are you doing it? Like it's a sport. Music's a sport. Same way everything is a sport. The only way you're gonna be your best is if you aim to be the best. Like I don't do this for I do music because I love music. I don't do it because, oh, I want to get girls or want this, I want that. I do music because it's something that I like doing. I like doing it in my spare time. It's a hobby. Like it's a passion, it's a hobby. And now I'm starting to see that like in this country, the scene's growing. There's a door there for me to actually try and make a career out of something that I love doing. So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment, is make a career out of my passion.
Mad that you say that. One of the guys that I had on before is a photographer, right? And he's a professional photographer now, but the words he said, he goes, it's a hobby that just got out of hand. And that's what it's, that's how you got to make it, man. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a hobby.
And where do we find you, bro?
You can find me on Instagram at official Shabba or Shabba official. I'm not too sure. I'm high now, so hold on one sec. I got
Yeah, Shabba official. I've got it here, bro. You're good. I'll
Yeah,
Dave
Shabba
for you,
official.
man.
Yeah,
It's
nice one.
Shabba_official_.
Official_, yeah. And you can find me on Spotify at Leon Shabba Madigan. And I'm on any music streaming platform under Leon Shabba Madigan.
Leon
Yeah.
Shabba Madigan. Thank you for your
Mhm.
time today, bud. I really enjoyed the chat. I hope that
It was a pleasure, man.
and I'm worried, right? Because I had a bit of a toot there before, right? And when we had all these crossovers of right, we had 3 minutes and then that fucking dropped, and then we had 7 minutes and that dropped, and now we've done 42, right? And we've done good 42. My worry is that we've gone over the same thing twice, and I'm thinking that it's come from before. But listen, it's been fun, man. I'll have a listen back and we'll work it all out. But thank you for your time. Thanks for coming on.
No
Really
problem,
enjoyed
man.
it, man. And wishing
Yeah,
you all
thank
the
you.
best for the future, bro.
Thank you for having me, and same to you.
This is my dad's podcast. He's an isolated ape. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for your support.